r/ask Reddit. What is the dumbest idea you have ever had that actually worked? In university I was late on an assignment that was supposed to be in my TA.'s Dropbox by noon that day. I didn't manage to get there until almost 3, so I was sure he had already emptied it. Now, the Dropboxes were literal boxes in cubbies with a slot on the front and a lock on them that prevented them from being pulled out. The rack holding them was just a basic metal frame with about 5 rows of boxes. My TA.'s box was somewhere in the middle of the shelf. So I figured, I'm late anyways, why not take a chance, and slipped my assignment into the box below my TA.'s box. I got my assignment handed back a few weeks later than everyone else, and it had a note from another TA scribbled on it that said, "Looks like this fell into my box by mistake." I got full marks on the assignment. That's genius. The trick is to make the professor reasonably believe that it was their own error, or some genuine accident or circumstance beyond the student's control. I used to send in papers late via I made an error in the email file by crafting fake corrupted files, or realistic FWDs, of a previous pre-due date email containing my paper in which I had accidentally made a typo in their email address. In college my buddy and I took an investing class, and for one of the projects we had a month to invest fake dollars into the stock market and see which team would have the most money after a month. It was spring semester, so we put all of our fake money into Heinz, thinking there would be a spike in ketchup and mustard sales as the weather got warmer. The next day, Berkshire Hathaway purchased the entire Heinz company and the professor accused us of insider trading. We had no idea what we were doing at it. Hey you/Mandogju are famous at it too. To clarify, we didn't actually get in trouble for insider trading, but the professor came over to us before the next class and was like, "What happened here?" We explained it and she thought it was funny but said we would definitely be investigated for insider trading if this was real money. Similar game, 1987. I was absent the day we were supposed to buy stocks. The crash happened later that week, and since I was in cash and everyone else purchased stock and lost a ton of fake dollars, I won. Dave Ramsey, is that you? Edit, just so everyone knows, I made this comment in a hurry, trying to be funny but not really thinking all the details through. By the time it dawned on me that Dave Ramsey isn't as cash centric as I was thinking, there were already a ton of replies. So I was the moron here, and I wanted to be clear that I know that I am impressed with the intelligence of the replies to what I thought was going to be a one-stroke for funny comment. Reddit never ceases to amaze me. I once faked being sick when I was in middle school and told my mom I had a sore throat and felt a cold coming on. She took me to the doctor and it turned out that I did, in fact, have strep throat lol. Task failed successfully. Similar story with my didn't wanna go to a church event, so I faked being sick. Same symptoms as you. I decided to try and ride it out as long as possible and see how far I could go. About 3 days later my mom tells me to get up because we're going to the clinic. We go to the clinic, tell them what's going on. They do the swab test and it came back positive for strep. My mom and I were both dumbfounded, so she asked for another swab and to have a culture done. The other swab and the culture ended up positive. TLDR. Either caught strep early on or my body was fighting a strain it had fought before. Edit. Words. In college I was taking a class that required me to purchase an online textbook and workbook that was registered under your name, basically ensuring that each student would have to buy a new online copy each semester instead of buying used textbooks. I had a friend who took this class a semester before me, so we came up with the idea to message customer service and explain that I had recently gotten married, so my last name had changed, and I legally changed my first name from my friend's first name to my first name, and I would need them to change it in their system. It totally worked and the rep even congratulated me on my marriage. I think it's nearly criminal to enforce students to buy new books instead of used ones, especially when it's the professor's own textbook. I've never had a prof who wrote the textbook, but for one class another prof had written the textbook. First day of class the writing prof showed up and passed around a flash drive with his book on it. And who knows how you may have changed that guy's life. Ex-cons have a tough time getting back out into the world, especially if on parole. Oftentimes it leads them back to crime and prison. Honestly, he sounds like he had the drive to succeed anyways, even if you didn't hire him. But you did, and it paid off for you. Your boss, the ex-con. I used to know a guy who, every week, would order his Saturday night curry for delivery while sitting in the pub and then walk over the road to the curry house and get it and himself delivered home. This went on for about 10-12 weeks. One week, we were sitting having a pint and the owner of the curry house walked in, took his order, and had him picked up from the pub. He said it was easier for everyone concerned. That's the most British thing I've ever read. I often forget that Indian food for Brits is akin to Mexican food for the US. It makes sense historically. 2. I used a soap bottle as a makeshift sink plunger. And this worked. I'm impressed. Yep, the neck of the bottle fit the drain near perfectly, so I just had to stuff a rag into the overflow drain. I didn't want to use my toilet plunger in my sink, so this was what I did. Bobcat tire blew during a job. Had another tire, but no jack. Positioned the Bobcat behind a dump truck. Bobcat then tries to lift the ass end of the dump truck. Dump truck hella heavy. Bobcat lifted itself instead. Tire changed and back to work. That sounds like a good way to end up crushed by a skid steer. It was a dicey situation to say the least, but it was far superior to any other idea being suggested at the time. I even remember me saying this is a bad idea, and it was my idea. Put Jesus and his Wi-Fi password in church. It worked. Ha, Jesus really is the answer. Bet my husband I could fix the dent in the car with a plunger. It worked. Edit. It is clear I should have used a massive suction dildo instead. Today I learned. I got rear-ended one time, right around Christmas, and had a dent in my back bumper. That summer I had enough spare money to go get it fixed, but when I looked at the bumper there was no dent. As the weather got hotter, it caused the bumper to expand and eventually it popped back into place. Far from the dumbest working idea in the thread, but I once got an extra day to work on a video project in high school by coming to class with a video that was just a quarter second of blackness, eagerly volunteering to go first, then acting confused and scared when the file didn't work. The teacher took pity on me and told me to just bring it the following day, and I got to finish it that evening and still got full credit as if I did it on time. I once completely blanked on an essay assignment and didn't realize till I was sitting in class. Luckily, the teacher didn't collect the essays till the end of class and I proceeded to write the whole paper in my notebook during lecture. When people were handing in essays I went up and told the teacher that I forgot to print it, but I had a version in my email, showing him the handwritten one to prove I had completed the assignment. He let me go print it and I typed the whole thing up in like 5 minutes, ran back, handed it in and got like a C or B. Couldn't argue that since I was about to get a 0. I just got PTSD imagining writing an essay in class again. Breaking into my own house through the kitchen window using a piece of wire and a wooden table after I was locked out. I want to hear how the duck you did this. Well, I arrived home with my mom and my little cousin and we realized we forgot the keys at my grandma's house, way the hell across the city. Mom calls my dad to bring his keys. He was working at the time and he'd take an hour to arrive, so we'd have to wait outside. I went full hell no mode and kept looking for other ways in. Turned out that one of the tiny back windows was open, but there was a safety pin that kept it from opening all the way up and the only way to remove it was unscrewing it. So I grabbed a wooden clothespin that was lying there, broke it, removed the wire that kept it together because it was just the right size to unscrew the window pin. I did it, pulled a table underneath the window so I could climb inside and just like that I managed to successfully break into a house at age 13. Not my idea but my mom's. I dropped one of my earrings and couldn't find it so she threw my other earring on the floor and it happened to land next to the first one. Brother, go find your brother. Adventures of Tom Sawyer. That's not dumb. Your mom is clearly just a witch. I am a poor student living in Germany. Students are required by law to have health insurance. The university will expel you if you don't have health insurance. The lowest rate I could get was about €189, $208 a month. I usually don't even spend that much on food. There was just no way that I could pay such a high rate. I wrote my insurer countless letters and emails explaining how there was no way that I could pay €189. They refused to lower my rate, explaining how they are just following the law. They even informed my university that I had failed to pay health insurance. The university then threatened me to exmatriculate me. In my desperation, I wrote the German Ministry of Health. I explained myself and asked them to talk to my insurer. A week later I received a letter from my insurer informing me that they had cut my rate to a mere €89 a month and that this reduction was applicable to all months prior. My rate is about to go up again, but this time I should be able to manage. Edit. I got my high school degree by attending evening seminars when I was in my mid-20s. I worked a number of years after I received my high school degree. I started university when I turned 30. Therefore, I am not eligible for student rates or government loans. BAföG. Most students in Germany pay a significantly lower rate. Whoa, you got insanely lucky. Good job reaching out to someone so high up. Indeed, I got lucky, but it was a very stressful time with everything hanging by a thread. It probably wouldn't work in this day and age, but back when I was young I was tired of retail and wanted an office job. I just lied my ass off and pulled a total George Costanza what with friends coached to answer their phones as a business and such. Got hired as an admin assistant and been steadily moving up since. I think about doing this all the time to start a new path. Just scared I will not be able to BS my way in the door. What are they gonna do? Fire you? We had a noisy rotating rooster weather vane, loud enough to keep people awake on windy nights, despite having been lubed, so I filled the hole the rooster rotates in with Crisco, even though people said it was a dumb idea and wouldn't work. Never had to lube it again because the Crisco didn't break down like other lubes. Never had to lube it again because the Crisco didn't break down like other lubes. So, anyway, that's how I got the nickname Slippery Dong. Slippery Coke was right there in the open. Back in the flip phone days, I had dropped mine and the screen stopped working. I could make and receive calls, but the screen was just completely blank. I put up with it for a couple of weeks because I couldn't afford a new phone. But one day I had the thought that, well, if dropping the phone made the connection loose, maybe the same thing can fix it, and threw my phone at the ground. I picked it back up and the screen was working. Edit. Thanks for making this my top comment of all time. Guys, now everyone knows how much of an idiot I was am. Edit 2. Specifically to piss off you / Throwdowntown69. Thanks for the gold. Kind stranger. I can't believe I got my very first gold. It's such an honor. XD. When I was brand new to the army, we were training with another unit and we had to defend the urban combat area, Mount Site, from an incoming force. We were only allowed a few hours to prepare. One guy suggested that we set up tripwires to, at least, slow them down. The doors are all painted bright blue, and all anyone had was my package of black 550 cord, Perissure cord, that could easily be seen. Setting this up, we thought there was no way they would miss it. I was wrong. Instead of checking the door, like they were supposed to, the opposing force simply tried to rush through. I almost couldn't return fire due to the fact I was laughing so hard. I even put a piece, just below knee level, in the doorway to the room I was in. I turned around when I heard people falling over each other. I looked and almost the entire squad was crawling on top of each other trying to get up. I put my weapon on burst and emptied the magazine. Then fumbled with my last one as I started to laugh even harder than before. After I blindly fired down the hallway, I just leaned against the wall and the entire group and myself just looked at the scene and started laughing. Then their platoon leader came running in and tripped over the same cord. At this point I was done. Put my weapon on safe, put it against the wall, and tried not to piss my pants over the whole situation. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.